As we consider the ongoing conflict between Israel and Palestine and reflect on the founding of Israel in 1948 and the Nakba, the Palestinian exodus, it becomes evident that Israel has indeed had a significant advantage over the Palestinians, both militarily and diplomatically, from its inception. This historical context, coupled with Israel's ongoing military and political dominance, raises important questions about responsibility and the role Israel should play in resolving the Israeli-Palestinian issue. The founding of Israel and the simultaneous displacement of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians during the Nakba in 1948 established a power imbalance that has persisted throughout the conflict. Israel, with the backing of major Western powers, was able to assert its independence and defend its new borders, while the Palestinians were left stateless and scattered across refugee camps in neighboring Arab countries and territories. This foundational moment created the dynamic of a strong, well-organized Israeli state versus a fragmented and disenfranchised Palestinian population, a dynamic that continues to shape the conflict. Given this historical background and Israel's continued economic, military, and technological superiority, it is fair to argue that Israel bears a greater responsibility in taking charge of resolving the conflict. As the stronger party, Israel can make the first moves toward peace and reconciliation, which could include addressing the grievances of the Palestinian people, offering real pathways to statehood, and easing the occupation of Palestinian territories. By doing so, Israel could set the stage for a lasting peace, one based on mutual recognition and coexistence, rather than continued conflict. The ongoing use of overwhelming force to maintain control over the Palestinians, particularly through settlement expansion, military operations, and a network of checkpoints and barriers, perpetuates the power imbalance and deepens Palestinian resentment. This dynamic has created a cycle of violence and reprisal that makes it increasingly difficult to envision a peaceful resolution. The notion that Israel, as the stronger party, should take a leadership role in resolving the issue becomes even more pressing when we consider the humanitarian impact of the conflict on Palestinians and the broader regional instability it fuels. Moving beyond social Darwinism. The idea of resolving the Israeli-Palestinian conflict through a survival of the fittest mentality, which emphasizes might over justice, is deeply problematic. While Israel's military strength allows it to maintain control, this approach fails to address the root causes of the conflict and leads to further entrenchment of the status quo. Social Darwinism, in the context of this conflict, suggests that the stronger party can impose its will without regard for the rights or dignity of the weaker party. However, this mindset only perpetuates a system of domination and oppression, which can never lead to a truly sustainable solution. Instead, a resolution to the conflict requires moving beyond this mentality and recognizing the fundamental rights of both Israelis and Palestinians. A just solution would involve addressing the historical injustices of the Nakba, acknowledging the right of return for Palestinian refugees, and ensuring that Palestinians have the opportunity to live in dignity and self-determination within a viable state. Israel's power gives it the opportunity to initiate this process, but it also comes with the responsibility to act in the interests of justice and peace, not merely its own security and territorial ambition. The moral imperative of leadership. Given Israel's dominant position, both historically and in the present, the moral argument for its leadership in resolving the conflict is compelling. Continuing to govern the conflict through military force and territorial expansion may provide short-term security gains for Israel, but it also deepens the long-term instability of the region. The more land that is annexed, and the more Palestinian rights are restricted, the less likely a two-state solution becomes, making future peaceful coexistence even more elusive. If Israel were to take charge of resolving the conflict with a genuine commitment to peace, it would involve recognizing the humanity and rights of Palestinians, ending settlement expansion, and engaging in good faith negotiations aimed at a just resolution. This would not only serve the interests of peace in the region, but also improve Israel's standing on the international stage, where it increasingly faces criticism for its treatment of Palestinians. Conclusion. While the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is deeply complex and involves multiple actors and factors, Israel's dominant position gives it both the responsibility and the power to lead efforts toward a peaceful resolution. Continuing to use the framework of social Darwinism, in which the stronger party imposes its will on the weaker, will only lead to further suffering and instability. Instead, Israel should leverage its power to initiate meaningful peace talks, recognizing that true security can only come from justice and reconciliation, not from continued military dominance. Ultimately, resolving the Israeli-Palestinian conflict will require Israel to move beyond seeing itself as the fittest survivor and instead embrace a role as a responsible leader, capable of bringing about a fair and lasting peace that respects the rights of both peoples.